Welcome to Chats with Changemakers, the Northeast podcast for people who want to make the world a better place. Hello and welcome to Chats with Changemakers. I'm your host, Kate Duffy. This series has been generously sponsored by the Social Enterprise Academy, who champion leadership and learning for people driving social change. Be sure to check out the links in the show notes for accredited and non-accredited opportunities in your area. In this episode, Lisa Cryer of BlueJay Wellness CIC and Roundabout Rabbit's author tells us about her journey from being a scientist to inspiring young people to read and write, as well as build mental health and well-being toolkits. There's a lot packed into this episode, so let's get to Lisa. Hello, Lisa.
Hi, Kate. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. All the better for seeing you, obviously. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm super excited about this conversation because you and I, we work together, we've delivered training together, but it's quite rare that we actually get a chance to sit down and kind of have these step back reflection conversations. So I'm really excited to have you on the podcast.
Definitely. We're usually in it, aren't we? We're usually like busy doing something. So it's nice. It's nice to chat. Yeah,
definitely. So let's get straight to it then, Lisa. Like, tell us about you as a person. What is it that you're passionate about and why? Like, where did it come from?
Yeah. Okay. So my biggest love in life is science. So I always say I'm a scientist at heart. That is what I do. That is me. Which might sound strange for people that know what it is that I do. But my degree was in biological sciences, and I love human biology. Anything to do with how the human body works, I'm all for it. So when I first finished my degree, I was a research scientist for many years, and I loved it. And I know probably what kind of pushed me into my field. So when I was 18, I was diagnosed with Turner syndrome. So I have like a fairly rare genetic condition. So girls have XX chromosomes, boys have XY. In a lot of my cells, I'm missing the other X chromosome. So it's quite a rare condition, and it kind of, I suppose it probably did push me down the route of genetics. So I love anything to do with genetics and how all of that works. So my first career was in childhood arthritis, and I worked in pharmacokinetics and pharmacogenetics, which is a very posh way of saying that we look at the genetics of how people respond to treatment so that we can try and give people the lowest dose possible, reducing side effects, but where it's effective. And we can kind of look at the genetics behind that and why people respond in certain ways. So that was back in Manchester. You might be able to tell from my accent. I'm not from the Northeast. So I grew up just outside Manchester. So that was the start of my career. Then I moved up here to start a PhD. So I started in childhood cancers. So same kind of field, but looking at how children respond to their treatment. So science is my absolute love, my passion. And then when I was there in Newcastle, I got to be a researcher in residence. So I got to go into a local school and teach the year 10s about cancer. And I just adored it. I loved it. And that really ignited my passion for teaching. So I left my PhD, because, why would you finish your PhD? I went into teaching. So I taught secondary science. So I kind of found this love of passing my passion on to other people and getting young people enthused about science. So that's the other side of what I love, is working with young people, and I have done now for years and years and years. And then when I left teaching became a really toxic environment. And I know lots of people listening to this will be able to relate to that. Lots of us out there who have become self-employed, and especially I think Changemakers in that kind of community, lots of us are ex-teachers. Because we wanted to make a difference to the kids, and then discovered, it maybe doesn't align with having a family or any of the other things, actually having a life. So it became quite a toxic place. And so I left teaching when my eldest was 2, I think Jude would have been. So when he was quite young, I was like, yeah, this isn't working. So I retrained in baby yoga. So I gained this passion for yoga and well-being. And then I've kind of taken all of those things and realized that actually I can create something where I can do all of those things that bring me joy. So yeah, so those are my kind of three big passions really, is around science and the human body and working with young people, and then using yoga and mindfulness and well-being to kind of bring those things together as well. So yeah.
Amazing. And that all falls under the umbrella then of BlueJay Wellness. So tell us about that first, because I know you've got two organisations, so there's potentially two hats going on here, but tell us about BlueJay Wellness CIC first.
All the hats, Kate, as you know very well. I have, for those people who like Julia Donaldson, I'm like Hamilton with Hamilton's hats. So BlueJay. So over COVID, so I've been self-employed for a decade now, but over COVID, that seemed like a really good time to to leave one business and start another, as you do. So I had a franchise of business, but I realized I wanted to do it myself and do it the way I wanted to do it. So 2020 I left, and the idea of BlueJay started to form. So I started off actually doing yoga online during COVID, kind of keeping people together, and I adored it. We did a like winter solstice class at one point, and I drove all around the northeast to drop packages off for people so that they'd have like a little candle and some smellies, and we're just like all chilled out together. It was absolutely beautiful. And then in 2021, so in the May, I registered BlueJay as a CIC. And I knew I wanted to go back into working with young people again, because it's where my heart lies, and I love working with young people. So yeah, so I registered the business then. So we're kind of 4.5 years down the line now of having a social enterprise. So I kind of brought together all those ideas. So I use yoga and breathwork and mindfulness with young people to improve their mental health, basically. So I truly believe in prevention before treatment. So I think we're in this massive crisis at the moment of young people all on waiting lists for mental health support. And I think, like, why aren't we helping them before it gets to the stage where they're needing that level of support? So that's what I kind of set out to do, really, to try and help that problem. So I have three main sort of areas that I work with. So I have a mindfulness program in schools, which is a daily mindfulness program for primary schools, where they spend literally like 5 or 10 minutes every single day doing a different mindful activity. And it just has a lovely impact on the school environment and how those young people feel when they're in education, which is a massive issue at the moment here in the UK. So that's one part of it. I'm just about to release. So I've got some schools trialing for me a new product, which is a sensory integration card deck. So it's literally cards for the young people to use who need sensory input. So it works. It's based around the idea of sensory circuits. So they use different activities, so alerting, coordinating and calming, to form like a little circuit where they can come out of class for just a short amount of time, like work on those issues around their sensory input, and hopefully get them back into class feeling good again. So that, like I say, is being trialled at the moment, thanks to funding from People's Postcode Lottery. And then that'll get officially launched next year. And then the other side of what I do is one-to-one work with young people. So that's when I can really kind of delve into those issues with that particular young person. So it's kind of this approach. I like to think of having the broad impact with the first two products I talked about, and then really kind of delving into the depth with the one-to-one work as well. So it's being able to work in both ways is what I aim for.
Yeah, definitely. And I wonder, is there a particular age group that is more susceptible to this? Like, do you find that the younger kids are more open to it, or is it the teenagers, or is there a specific age group that you target for any particular reason?
I think it's more to do with changing my approach for the young person that's in front of me. So with the mindfulness program, what I found was, in one of my schools that trialed it when it went on to my so I had a school trial the content for me, and then I had a school trial the actual system. And when they had that up and running, I hadn't even really considered like the really young end of the spectrum. So they have a 2-year provision that's attached to the school. And I got to go and observe the teacher using it, and I nearly cried. It was just the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Like these little 2-year-olds doing like animal-based breath work. So they were like pretending to be little frogs and they were doing bunny breaths. And honestly, it was just adorable. It was lush. And I think I hadn't sort of, and I've done that, I did that for years. I worked with babies and toddlers, and I took my work into nurseries and did all of that, but I hadn't really considered kind of how that would translate really. I'd just aimed it first at primary to check the concept. And it really opened my eyes to kind of how that works with the young end. So that was really lovely. And that's something I'm aiming for next year is to work with some more nurseries. I've got a meeting this week with a nursery order from me. So that's going to be really lovely. So the young end definitely respond to that side of the work, but I work with young people from 2 right the way through to 18. And I think it's just about, because obviously my background is secondary teaching anyway, so I'm used to working with the teens. I love working with teenagers. And I think it's your approach just shifts as the age shifts. So with the teenagers, it's more about treating them as young adults as they are, and really finding out what it is that they need. And I think because they can articulate that in a different way than the young people can, than the little ones can. It's just kind of shifting your approach really. But yeah, I love working with all ages. I absolutely love it. I've said before, I like take my hat off to primary teachers because I just think they're amazing to be able to like work with those groups of children day in, day out for a year. I absolutely take my hat off to them. But you equally hear that in the reverse from primary teachers saying I could never work with the secondaries. So now I get to go in the schools and kind of do what I absolutely love and walk out again, which is really lovely. I absolutely love it. But yeah, so I think it's more to do with just changing your approach depending on the young person that you've got in front of you. So my one-to-one work is absolutely bespoke to the young person, and it's all based around the targets that they set for themselves. So it's so easy to do that in the way that's right for the young person in front of you. So yeah.
I was going to ask that, is there a different impact measurement plan for depending on, because if it's sort of person centered, have you had sort of anecdotal responses from the school as to the kind of behavior changes or things that they've seen that have improved?
So, I mean, interestingly, the picture's kind of the same across the ages, to be honest. So I use the same approach to my measurement, sort of regardless of the age of that child. So we do strengths and difficulties questionnaires, so SDQs, at the beginning, during, and at the end of the prevention. So you kind of see a similar picture really. And because I'm getting them to set their targets, it's very goal-based as well. So I can look at the goal-based outcomes. So those goal-based outcomes might look different depending on what it is that they're saying at the beginning. But yeah, so you kind of get a similar picture regardless, but it's going to be different for each young person, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, and then I think within that, what I'm aiming to do is to then also support the families and the professionals that are around them as well, so that then, because I think there's too many sort of preventions that come in and it'll just be this discrete piece of work and then it disappears off again. And I think there's definitely something to be said for how does it continue afterwards, because everything I do, I want it to be, I want these young people to have sort of had that experience, and it's a change that lasts a lifetime. Like I want them to be able to articulate how they feel, and I want them to know that all feelings are valid, and but those things are things that are set for life. And I think it's how you do that. So what I always say is I get them to build a toolkit of techniques that works for them. So it's not about me saying, do this breath. Like do this, I'll teach them a whole host of different things. And it might be, and I found the same with the mindfulness, because I do a different topic for each of the 6 half terms across the school year. And it might be, and when I've had feedback, I got whole school feedback off my first one, and it's totally different for every young person. It might be that, they absolutely grasped onto using breath work and they loved it. For this young person, it's that they love to get moving and they'll use their movement in a different way. And like, it'll be different for all of them. But if I've given them that toolkit, and then they can take what they want from it and they kind of build it themselves. So I think for me, it's all about the co-production, if you want to use the buzzword, of them kind of being the one in charge of it all. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit more then, Lisa, about your journey sort of as an entrepreneur through this process. Like, can you share any pearls of wisdom with us or any bits that you've, any lessons or blessings along the way?
Oh, plenty of blessings, plenty of blessings. I think for me, the biggest thing, and it comes back to something that we teach actually when we're delivering together. For me, it's about keeping the why at the center of everything that you do. I think you've got to love it. You've got to absolutely love it with your heart and soul, because I think in this sphere, being a change maker, you have to adore it. And if you don't love it anymore, then it's going to be a really tough journey. So I think if you can keep your why at the center of what you do, and it's really hard at times, because there'll be like, I'm very distracted by shiny objects quite often. So like I'll see something and be like, ooh, and I get really bad FOMO as well. So I don't want to miss out on things. I want to be involved in everything that's happening. And I can kind of spread myself a bit thin sometimes and think I can do more than I can. So I think keeping your why really, really solid is such an important part of it. So your why is written in pen, and then your business plan is written in pencil, and that's the bit that can change and adapt, but make sure that it's what you love at the heart of it. So I like to tell people about ikigai and keeping everything that you do moving into the center of that circle of the things that you love, keeping it sustainable at the same time. And I think that's a real balancing act. That's a huge balancing act. And I think sometimes it can be tempting to chase something, whether it's chasing something that's going to pay well, but maybe doesn't align with what you do, or, chasing something because of that fear of missing out. So yeah, it can be really tempting to be kind of veered off from the path a little bit. So when I was in Edinburgh last week, and do you know, Kate, the difference between a maze and a labyrinth? So I didn't know this either. So I discovered a labyrinth while I was in Edinburgh last week. So a maze will have dead ends and wrong ways to go, and you have to kind of find your way through it. Whereas a labyrinth has one path from the start to the center and back out again. So this labyrinth, the information that was, I am going somewhere with this, I promise. The information that was at the beginning of it said it invited you to walk slowly through the labyrinth, knowing that the path is going to take you to the center. And I just thought that was such brilliant. Yeah, I just loved it. So for me, I think if you've got your why absolutely central to everything that you do, it's going to be more of a labyrinth and less of a maze. You're less likely to kind of go down those wrong turns and find those dead ends. But the path is like tough, and it's long, and it's really windy, and sometimes you have to go kind of a circuitous route around to get to what it is that you want to do. But as long as you're on the path and as long as you're loving it, then I think you're halfway there and you're getting it right. That's my theory anyway.
Interesting. No, I'd not really thought about the comparison of those two words. So yeah, that is really interesting. And I guess
It's thousands of years old, labyrinths. So there you go. It's sending me down a total rabbit hole. I'm going to be Googling on.
I was going to say, I'm already thinking what I'm going to ask ChatGPT later now about this. Oh, brilliant. So Lisa, I think we're at the point where at the end of all of our podcasts, we invite our guests to just directly address the listeners, and how can we help you is basically the question. In your mission, in the work that you're doing at BlueJay, how can we support you to make more of a difference in what it is that you do?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for that opportunity. So yes, hello everybody. So I think the big things for me are, I am a massive believer in collaboration over competition. If anything that I've said on this podcast aligns with you and you want to have a chat with me, please do. I'll happily come and have coffees with people, see how we can work together. And anyone who's wanting to make the lives of young people better, I will, happily sit and have a coffee with and see how we can work together. So for me, it's all about collaboration and the links, and how we can strengthen things together, because I'm well aware that I'm a very small cog in this massive machine of kind of young people in the Northeast. And I think collaboration is a massive part of it. If anyone has any contacts in schools and nurseries, please do tell them about me, give me a shout. I'm happy to pass things on. With one of my other hats on as well, what I haven't mentioned yet is that I'm a children's author as well. So I've got 2 children's books called Roundabout Rabbits and Roundabout Rabbits and the Mystery Egg. And they are set in Newcastle, really proudly from the Northeast, illustrated by the awesome Kylie Dixon. So they're beautiful as well. And I can say that because it's not my artwork, so I can say it with absolute aplomb, they are beautiful. So please do have a look at Roundabout Rabbits as well. So it's roundaboutrabbits.co.uk. And I do workshops and assemblies and all sorts around that as well. So I'm really passionate about supporting our young people to grow up being able to read and write, because that's another huge problem here, especially in the Northeast. So just inspiring young people to understand that you don't have to live in London to be an author. You can live right here in the North, and we have awesome talent up here. So please do check that out. And if you want me for any workshops, give me a shout. But actually for me, I think the biggest thing that I would like to ask of everybody is come and join us in the Changemakers, in our group, on our WhatsApps, because we're just a lush bunch of people, and all of us, like, we just want to make a difference. We just want to make people's lives better. Like, that's the ultimate aim of everything that we do. So come and join us if you're not already. And if you're a lurker, come and start chatting to us, because we're all really, really lovely. But yeah, and I think that takes me full circle back to that idea of collaboration over competition, because I think the more we can all be working together and supporting each other, just the better the impact's going to be for everyone, like, just all round. So yeah, come and join us. That's the biggest thing for me is come and join us, have a chat, and come and have fun with us all.
Well, Lisa, thank you ever so much for joining us. We'll be sharing all your links in the show notes, so hopefully people will connect with you directly. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you and your multiple organisations.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I think it's fair to say that Lisa wears many hats. And one of them that we didn't actually cover very much in the episode is that Lisa is a bit of a champion of the social enterprise sector. She delivers training on behalf of the Social Enterprise Academy, Junction CIC, and she is an ambassador of the Northeast Changemakers community. So it's fair to say she's a pretty busy lady, running her own social enterprise, as well as inspiring and supporting other people to do the same. I love Lisa's journey. And one of the key principles of just coming back to your why, constantly reassessing that as an individual, as well as what that means for your organization. It's something we talk a lot about in the Changemakers community. So do check out Simon Sinek and his book, Start With Why, if you'd like to learn more about that practice. But ultimately, the idea is if your why or your mission or goal can be used as a bit of a North Star, it's a really helpful way of making decisions as to what is serving you versus not. And obviously, we only have so much time in the day. So we want to be spending as much time as we can doing the things that are going to further our mission, rather than just being busy for busy's sake, or taking opportunities that are going to take us off at a bit of a tangent rather than achieving the mission that we set out to do. So I really love that this is a core principle for Lisa. She also mentioned Ikigai, which I think that those two approaches really work really nicely together. I also think that working through this lens of why can be really helpful if you're going through a challenging time as well. I think it's quite easy to think of it primarily as a growth mindset and things are really positive and everything we do is working towards our why. But actually, when you have those knockbacks, or funding hasn't come in as you were expected, or a contract that you were lining up or a sales opportunity hasn't worked, if you can remove yourself slightly, almost zoom out and look down below at yourself, asking yourself the question around why can be really helpful, because it creates that opportunity of space, of innovation. If we're not going to achieve our why this way with this straight line, is there a wiggly line alternative that we can follow instead to still achieve that mission? So I do really like the idea of using why. So if you would like to connect with Lisa, check out the links in the show notes. You can also subscribe to Chats with Changemakers for more brilliant interviews. And don't forget to join our free Northeast Changemakers community to connect with more brilliant people just like Lisa. A huge thank you to Social Enterprise Academy for supporting this series and for their commitment to helping people grow the skills and the confidence to create real change. Catch you next time. If you've been inspired by what you've heard today, come and join our free Northeast Changemakers community to meet like-minded people and start your journey to changing the world.